So I'm now sharing my screen. I think you can all see it, right? Hello? Okay, thanks. So I'll assume you all have downloaded this MATLAB. Even if you haven't, that doesn't matter. It's like a easy process. So let's start with some uh, MATLAB is like quite easy language to begin with. It's all about playing with matrices or vectors. So I'll show you some very basic commands of MATLAB today, which might be helpful for you all for the upcoming assignments. So let's start. This is a dot mat file where you write this code and all things. This is MATLAB command window and this is workspace. So like let's explore it. So if like I want to create some vector, I need to do just like all ones vector. So the command for that is something like this. Suppose I want to create a 10 cross 1 vector with all its elements being 1. So you save this and run it. You will basically see in the workspace a variable is being generated, a. You can also see in command window it's a all ones vector. And by the way, there is a function called clear all, which we often use. Clear all basically clears the memory, I mean all the variables which are generated during the code running. And there is another command clc, which basically clears the commands from the command window. So this, since this is E677 is a wireless MIMO, so the thing will encounter very often is generating some channel H. So and the elements of the channel are standard normal distributed, I mean those elements, I mean they are Gaussian distributed with mean 0 and variance 1.
Saurasis,
Yeah.
yeah, first you explain the basics of MATLAB, how to write for loop, if loop.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, sure. So let me start uh, let me create a identity matrix, for example, from scratch. How can we do that? Suppose of like, let's take a is equal to 5 and we want to create identity matrix 5 cross 5. So I first initialize it as m1 by using this command zeros. So this basically creates a matrix 5 cross 5 square matrix with all its elements being 0. So now in order to create identity matrix, what we need to do, uh, let me write the code first. So here I am basically have written a for loop and if loop also. So what is the logic behind it? You see, I take for I is equal to 1 up to a value is 5, and we create two for loop, j is equal to 1 up to 5, and my logic is if I not equal to j, that is all the elements of the matrix which are not in the main diagonal, they are going to be 0, and the elements which are in the main diagonal, for them I and j need to be equal value, that is the uh, elements of the matrix across the principal diagonal, they need to be 1. So this code should create a matrix M1 which is the identity matrix. So let's just run it and see it. So we have created M1. Let's check it out. You can see here that M1 is a 5 cross 5 identity matrix I have created. The logic is that I am explaining once again for understanding. In the inside innermost, you will see an if else loop where I put the condition that if I not equal to j, which is corresponding to all elements of the matrix whose rows and column index are not same, they are going to be 0. See any of these 0. Suppose for this is the fourth column and the second row. Clearly the row and column index are not same, so this had to be set to be 0. And otherwise, if I is equal to j, that is the elements across the main diagonal, they need to be 1. So this is the code for that, and this is how it works. So let's get into creating some distributions. So if you need to generate a random variable, like a uniform random variable that is taken from 0 to 1, you just need to use the rand function, rand1, and every time you run it, it will give some, like here you can see in the workspace the variable it created 0.74. Every time you run it, it will keep giving you different value, but remember this is a uniform distribution. Now this is the more common is the standard normal distribution, Gaussian distribution. For that case you need to use the command rand n. So this will, every time you run this command, you will generate a random variable taken from standard normal distribution, that is basically 0 mean and variance 1. Now this is a scalar. Sometimes you need to generate a vector. Suppose for example, let's take some 5 cross 1 vector whose elements are all drawn from this standard normal distribution. So how we do that? We just use the same command rand n, just fix its sizes as, and we run it and we see we generated a 5 cross 1 vector whose elements are all drawn from the standard normal distribution. Sometimes you need to generate a matrix whose elements are again drawn from standard normal distribution. In that case, if it's a square matrix, you just give its dimension, maybe like 10 or something. It would produce you a 10 cross 10 matrix whose all elements are again drawn from standard normal. And you can generate some rectangular matrix also by just giving the dimension across which you want to generate. This is it. So next thing I want to discuss that some basic addition and subtraction. These are like very easy. You create some vector a and b, and you need to sum them up. So you save it and run it, you get the answer here in the command window, summation of a plus b. But remember, the dimension should remain same, because if I change the dimension here, it basically asks it to do that sum of 5 cross 1 vector, which are 2 or 3 cross 1, which is impossible. So it won't generate any result, rather give you an error. Okay, this is fine. Next is I want to generate two matrices, square matrices of 5 cross 5, let's say. If you need to multiply them, you can just use this command, a times b, save it, run it, and this is the matrix multiplication. Now if you want element wise multiplication of the matrix A and B, then you need to use A dot times multiplication B. Remember, the results will be different compared to earlier, because it is a proper matrix multiplication where it is just element wise multiplication. That means this element of matrix A and this element of matrix B will be this is element wise multiplication of the matrices. Sometimes you need to generate the transpose of a vector, you can, or matrix, whatever it is, you can do it using this transpose command. This basically turns a row vector into a column vector and vice versa. You see, if I make it a square matrix, it would generate a transpose will be a transpose of matrix A. See, this is A and this is A transpose. There is another way to, if you do not want the standard normal distribution, but you want to distribute some Gaussian distribution with some other mean and variance that is customized, you can also do that using this command, norm rnd, where the first input is going to be the mean, let's set it to some 4, and second input is the standard deviation, let's put it like 7, and generate the result for it. You see, every time you run it, it would pick a random variable with mean 4 and standard deviation 7. Now this is about a scalar. The next two input, you can define its size also. Maybe I want a 6 cross 8 matrix with all its elements drawn from this distribution, so I will just do that and run it. I got a 6 cross 8 matrix with all its elements drawn from this Gaussian distribution with mean 4 and standard deviation 7.
Saurabh is also explain about breakpoints. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Because that is crucial. They can debug the code later.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Also, if you have any doubt, you can Google it. Like, if any code you have doubt, like how to generate a random variable or a random integer or Gaussian distributed random variable, or if it is a complex Gaussian, how to generate it, you can Google it and learn from it. Okay.
Okay.
No, I am telling to the students.
Oh,
Not to
okay.
you.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. And to discuss this breakpoint, I think I should use some code of mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Not yours. You can write a for loop here. Just
Okay.
explain
Okay.
it. Yeah. Put a breakpoint.
Got it.
Also, to the students, if you have any doubt, meanwhile you can ask.
Yeah, you
Don't be
can like.
silent. Yeah, I think you can continue. Nobody is asking.
So as you all can see here that I have initialized a matrix M1 5 cross 5 with all 0 elements, and I want the element of matrix, the value to be the square of the sum of the the sum of the squares of row and column elements. So now I'm going to create a breakpoint here. This is to just check whether the code is working fine in between the for loop. So you see, first time it stops me, the I value is 1, j is 1, fine, and it is supposed to produce at this the first position on the first row and first column should produce 2. So let's see whether it has done it or not. Oh, I'm sorry, it's wrong. So let's check the status of M1 now. You see at the first 1 position it has produced a value 2, and now it will move for I remain fixed, that is 1, the first row, and it will move to j second column. So it is supposed to produce 5 here. Let's check the, you see, in the first row and second column it produce value 5 here. In that way you can create breakpoint anywhere. Maybe I want to create breakpoint instead of 6, I want to create at it 5. So okay, I got it. So when I create breakpoint at 5, it will consider first for I is equal to 1, and it will go through the all values of j 1 up to 5. That is, it will fill up the first row of the M1 matrix, and then it will stop because I have created the breakpoint here. So it will encounter it again when I will be 3. Now it's 2. Let's check that. See, it fills up the entire second row and it stops here when I value is 3. So in that way you can create breakpoint in different location of your code to check whether it's working correctly or not in between, of course. So you guys have any questions regarding whatever I've told you until now? You can ask me. Any confusion?
So when we use this breakpoint,
Like for every iteration, it stops there, or for the first iteration.
Sorry, I'm not getting your voice very clear. Can you say it once?
Like we have Chaitanya, your voice is not clear.
Uh, can you repeat this breakpoint concept once?
Okay, breakpoint concept, fine. It basically means, let's start with the example. I want to create a breakpoint at the sixth line. So first it will take I value. Let's stop it. It will start from I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1, and it will stop here for the first moment. When I value you check, it is 1 now, j is also 1, so it is about to put create the value of first 1 position as 2. I see that, just show that. You see it creates the value 2 and it stops again because the breakpoint is created at sixth line, and now j value is 2. Now this for loop is running. It has gone through once and now j value is 2. It has come at second point. I'll run it once more and check it put the value in the first row in the second column. Next iteration it will put the value in the third column. Now check, j value is 4 and it is yet to generate the value for the fourth column. It has only up to generated up to third one. See, third one. So if I now move this breakpoint thing from sixth to fifth line, what will happen? You guys tell me. So first time it will stop here when I is equal to 1. That's fine. Now it will, yeah, fine. I is equal to 1. Now you see the elements of m1, they are all 0 as of now. Now the second time it stops when I is equal to 2. Means for I is equal to 1, it has gone through the entire values of j's. That is, it has filled up all the columns corresponding to first row. See the, check the value of m1 as of now. See, in the first row it has gone through all the j values, generated these values, and it again stops for I is equal to 2. So depending on where you are creating the breakpoint, you can judge whether your code is working fine or not. Like, you might have problem corresponding to some row, maybe in this case, so you need to create the breakpoint accordingly. Maybe you know already that it's maybe you don't know which row the problem is, so you might want to check it element wise. So you create the breakpoint at the sixth line, so you can check element by element. So that's the entire point. Like, you create breakpoint according to your own will to debug your code, like to check whether it's functioning or not. You must have some kind of intuition that what the code is not running exact, like creating problems or some erroneous values, some very large or very less, and you perform kind of a like you eliminate these possibilities. I mean, you find out which part of his coding is malfunctioning and you create breakpoint, and you can check in between these variables whether they are actually running correctly or not. That's the entire point. uh, any more explanation needed on that? Like, have I cleared your confusion or not?
See, mainly this breakpoint helps in when it comes to your assignment. Let's say there are multiple parts, right? Your power needs to be calculated in linear form. After that, you have to calculate the capacity. So basically, it helps when you have a bigger codes. You can check chunk by chunk. In your code, if you in your assignment, if you see whether your powers are you converting into the linear, TV to the linear, whether it is correct or not. You can keep a breakpoint there, and that you can check. Later, you can write that is equal to that capacity equation. and after that plotting that plotting that capacity. So step by step, if you have any doubt particular, before that you put a breakpoint and check. Until then, your code is fine. Or if everything is fine, we can move to the later part. Yeah, you can continue, Saurabh.
Okay. So I just want to, what are like, should I also tell them about these plots, some basic functions?
Yeah. Tell.
Oh, okay, sure.
Also show them in the this one. Google that plots of different how they can plot, how they can change the color. Everything will be there, right? Yeah,
Okay, sure.
they can take help from that when they're plotting it.
Okay. So let us create first an array x, which is like 1 up to 10 array, and then I'm just going to plot a function like that, some random function that is x squared minus maybe 0.1 times x cube. So this is supposed to generate you this just a moment. So you see we have generated these plots. Wait. Yeah, got it. So so just one point of Hanger said, so I should change the color and all these things from the figure itself, or I should write the code for it, just for clarification. You can just change the color of line from here itself, different color maybe. You can change the line width also, different, and different line types in maybe dash or some dotted line. You also highlight the marker part also, that is not exactly visible now. It will be, so this is how you, and you can do this all things via, you can put it here also in the plot. Maybe if you are willing to generate a blue plot, let's see, you'll get a blue one. You can change the different functions to get different color.
Sources, is it done or still
Yeah, I think from my side, I think it's done as of now.
open that assignment once?
Okay.
Like all of you, if you have any doubts in the assignment, specifically any point you can ask.
Just a minute.
Yeah, ask to the students. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Yeah, if you have some specific query regarding any of these questions, you can ask me.
I want to ask what is the linear value? That means you should convert it from SNR to the normal value, right?
See, what is the linear value in the sense? In the question, it is like dB, right? I think in the GATE exam, you might have
No, I
studied.
know that. I was just
Yeah,
clarifying.
linear in the sense what then? See the formula which you have, right? Capacity formula, log of 1 plus SNR. Hello?
So first you have to convert it from dB to the
No,
value,
no,
and then
forget about whether you have to convert it or not. That log of 1 plus SNR, whether it takes a linear value or a dB value, and you have log of 1 plus.
it takes linear value.
Yeah, then we have to convert it, na?
Okay.
Any other doubts?
Sir, in question 3C,
Yeah, yeah.
what
Expected
is
of,
it?
yeah.
Sir, steps A and B 1,000 times and by averaging the value. So what does it
Yeah.
mean, sir?
Say, this what it does, like in the B part, compute the expression log of 1 plus non-square of H into SNR. So whatever the channel, H is a channel, right here. So for each realization, you will be calculating that B part once, right? Log of 1 plus. So when you want to average it, so in the C part, if you see expectation of log of 1 plus non-square of SNR, correct?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that expectation is like averaging it. So how many times you have to calculate in the B is that 1,000 times you calculate it, sum over 1,000 times divided by 1,000. That's what it gives the averaged value. I think that is the difference between second question and third question. Here you have to average it. You got now?
Average it 1,000 times. That means I don't get it, sir.
See, averaging in the sense what you do, like you will be performing that B part 1,000 times. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What averaging is does, like in a class, if people are scoring, let's say, uh, 1 to 10 students are there, 1 to 10, they would be scoring some marks like randomly out of 100. So averaging means what you will do. You will be summing over all the scores divided by number of students, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay,
So
sir.
because that H randomly you are saying, right, in the A part, if you see, H is like IID complex Gaussian random variable. So each time you generate that random variable, it gives a different value, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But
For it,
that's why you have to for that value you have to calculate the log 1 plus more norm H square SNR.
yes,
Then
yes, yes.
to average it.
Correct, correct.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Any other doubts? Sources, you scroll down once. This one, please read carefully. Yeah, yeah. These things you should keep in mind whenever you are submitting your MATLAB assignments. Okay. Also, don't copy it because this is easy assignment. You can do it on your own. If you have any doubts, you can mail to TA or you can Google it also. That also you can discuss with your friends, but don't copy the code. The basic idea is that you should get familiar with the MATLAB. This will help in your further assignments and your MTech thesis also.
Can you please tell like how exactly do we submit this in?
So you can read those points. I think Sar has given everything. I think it should contain your name or roll number, I guess. Saras, you go to the first point, I guess, where it is.
Yes, actually, it is in this submission instruction part.
Yeah.
In the classroom itself, right? Google Classroom.
No. 1 minute.
And actually, a separate drive link will be provided for that, I think.
Saras, you check once submission instructions.
Actually, I think they'll be provided a separate drive link where they need to upload it.
Okay. So in this one, Sar have mentioned, right? Okay.
Yes, that is mentioned here, like in the submission instruction.
Okay, Sar has mentioned it.
Mhm.
Commented in the drive link, I think. From last third point. I think Sar will give you that link, okay? If you don't have any doubts, you can leave. You can end this session.